Video number 2 of progressive profiling, what happens after they sign up. Now, there are multiple things you can do, and users will often want to update their data themselves. How they do it will depend on how you provide that data for them. So going forward in the form builder itself, there are a couple of ways you can really present data to them. And I'll explain the pros and cons of this right away. Let's say if I take a hidden field here, for example, and I'm going to call this contact ID. And this method here is pre-filling the data using a contact ID from Salesforce and just pre-fill it. So I'll show you how this is done. This is called FOD135, and we'll go ahead and configure the information. So we'll say contact ID equals contact ID, and then we'll just go ahead and map a couple of the fields, like first name, email, last name, I consent, I do not consent. Okay, so if I now go ahead and preview this, what I can do is, if I can show this to you guys, what I can show you is, if I go back to the form builder here, this field is FLD135. So if I go ahead and type in FLD135 equals, and then from Salesforce, I'll go ahead and get my contact, which is Joe Blogs, and then I just copy it, and then I paste it in here. Now I can see the data there, which is good. And it's definitely a method that you can use to show data. But there are a couple of disadvantages of using this. First of all, this can place a lot of burden on your support teams. Admins having to create pre-fill URLs and send them to customers through Salesforce. And once the results have been submitted, you still have to apply more burden on your support team to verify that. You're also compromising security here. If somebody can access the record ID or even change a couple of different numbers here, you could be liable to data loss, and that's something you definitely want to avoid. So what is the solution around the dynamic pre-fill? Well, the solution is add a login onto the form itself. So we need something that is dynamic and secure, and an ability to add login to a form that can use smart validation. So what smart validation is, it's a login window will essentially be created based on fields you will choose from Salesforce. And I'll show you how that's done right now. So back in my form here, what we'll do is we'll get rid of this, and then we'll close this as well. We don't need this. In Form Titan, you have the ability to add a smart validation onto the form. We call this Smart V. Under Elements, type in Smart V, move that onto the layout. What's going to happen now, it's going to ask you which object do you want to configure this on. And we are going to choose Contact. You can use any object as you wish, but we will use Contact for now. We'll click Apply. And there are a couple of fields I would like. Contact ID. Next one is Email, because that's what we're going to use to authenticate. And then the last one will be my secret key. And a secret key is something that stores the two-factor authentication code. So I'll show you in Salesforce. It's just a text field I've created right here, and it will store a new code every single time. And it's got my personal email address in there, which we'll use shortly. So back in the form here, I'm going to set this email, set this value as secret, and contact ID as a value. Once I click Apply, click Save. And you can really go ahead and play with this. It's a super cool functionality. You can even add your own logo if you wish. You can do a lot of other stuff. So if I save and now click on Preview, you can see there's a login in the form. Now this is super secure. And on top of that, you can really display their data, and they can update the data whenever they want. The client's responsible for that. You don't have to worry about creating pre-fill links for them. And I'll show you how you can actually even display the data like this. So you can say contact ID equals Smart B. That's it. And then in the push, you will do the same. Instead of create, we're updating. We're just going to say contact ID equals Smart B. So the same thing we're doing. We're doing push and a get. Get means reading the data. Push means pushing the data into Salesforce. Cool. So if I apply and finish and I save, and then I go ahead and preview, I'll pop my link in here for, I'll put my email for my personal email, which is under the contact. Let's have a look. So let's see. This email is incorrect. There, that's better. Okay, so if we go back now and click continue login, what this is now going to do is send me a two-factor authentication code. So we don't worry about passwords, we just care about our two-factor authentication code. And what I'll do is I'll bring up my Gmail in here, and we'll hopefully, this is what it looks like. So if I click on my security code here, it's 50626, and I go back to here, 50626, and I continue, and now you can see it's brought back all the data. Pretty cool. So instead of now fumbling about with different record IDs, I don't have to compromise my URL. You can see there's nothing in the URL to suggest. And then all I need to do is, if I want to update it, I can just click I do not consent, submit it, and now this has been submitted. And if I go back into my logs here, you can see it's just done an update. And if I go back directly using the URL, you can see now I do not consent is checked and I consent is unchecked. So that's how easy it is to add a login onto the form, and you don't have to have any coding knowledge. You can do this completely declaratively and push it to Salesforce.